All right, injury update. After the game, Alex Lewis, ended up having an ankle. Played through the game, finished the game, really gritted it out. We'll kind of see how this week goes. And really, that was the one that really kind of popped up that was new. So just updating Tom Compton with the calf. We'll kind of see how this week goes. Beecham with the ankles, and Demarius with the hamstring. And then you have Steve and Henry both kind of coming in just really banged up, which they've been for a while. We'll just see how this week goes. I think the majority of these guys, will have an opportunity to practice this week. We'll just, take it day to day and kind of see where we end up at the end of the week.
The first question is from Brian at the Post. Your line is active.
Adam, a win like yesterday and these wins in December, what can that mean for your team going forward into next year and, you trying to establish a program here?
I think the biggest thing just for the organization is, winning home games is always important, just kind of creating that type of culture, feeling comfortable playing in your own stadium. There is an advantage to not traveling and those type of things, and having a winning record and then keep building off of that. That's going to always be important. I think just anytime you win, it's exactly what you want. You want to keep building on the last time we won, and then kind of have a little bit of a setback, but just trying to put multiple good games together and finding ways to win, whether it's October, November, December. It's just trying to find ways to win.
JP from Forbes, your line is active.
Adam, I'm curious from a protocol standpoint, when a defensive player such as Bless Austin yesterday gets removed from the game, is it your call or is it Greg's call?
Those guys they're managing the game the way they need to manage the game. If I ever feel like a move doesn't need to be made, then I'll step in. But I hired Greg Williams for a reason, and that was to do exactly what he's been doing, and that's putting in the culture that we're looking for, the attitude we're looking for, the swagger we're looking for. And I'm not here to micromanage all the things that happen on a play-to-play basis. If that's the move that they feel like they needed to make, they're always going to get a yes from me. I don't think I've really ever stepped on anybody's toes in that aspect of it. I trust these guys. I trust that defensive staff as far as making those right kind of decisions. If I ever did feel that I needed to step in, then I would.
Again, please press *3 if you have any questions for Coach. Rich from ESPN, your line is active.
Just following up on that question, Adam, could you recall at a time in your career, either the first three with Miami or even prior to that, have you ever been around a situation where the head coach gave that much autonomy to a defensive coordinator? Because it seems like you have a lot of trust in Greg. And did you ever have a case like that in Miami where you just let the defensive guy run his own show?
Yeah, I think, my first year in Miami, there was a lot of conversations going into games, but once we hit the game, those guys needed to make the decisions that they needed to make to try to win the game. I probably got more involved as my time went on in Miami. I think that was part of the reason why I hired Greg, was to do a great job with that side of the ball. I think the move that they made, that's what the game called for, and that's why I'm fine with it. And if that's what our guys are always going to put the players out there that they think can help us, win that series, win that down. Changes throughout the game. You never know. Sometimes guys go back in, but if they feel like if somebody's in a good rhythm, then that person's going to stay in.
JP from Forbes, your line is active.
On the strip sack yesterday, I know there's nothing you could do about the sack, but could Sam have done a better job of making sure the ball was secure? Look at the film. What do you think?
I wish I could say yes, but T.J. Watt, that was a pretty violent hit and a violent strip. And talking to him afterwards, there's a reason why this guy is doing what he's doing. Like he even said, he goes, it feels a little different when that guy hits you. And, he got him pretty good. Just that whole play, I going back and looking at it, I hate the call that I had. I hate the personnel grouping that I had. I put us in a bad spot. He was, waiting on a route, which is 100% on me. I wish I would have stayed with a different personnel grouping, which would have helped him in that situation get the ball out quicker. It was just a bad call by me that forced him to hold on to the ball.
There are no other callers in the queue, so please press *3 if you have any other questions. Since there are no callers in the queue, we'll wait for 1 second to press *3 for any additional questions for Coach. Rich, your line is active.
Sam, can you just talk about, obviously he didn't put up huge numbers statistically yesterday, but I'm wondering, how do you think he did in terms of, managing the game, in terms of situation awareness, knowing what kind of game it was, and, except for the strip sack, avoiding turnovers?
That would be the only play where, and like I just said, it's more on me with the call, but he played that game exactly the way that we talked about it on Wednesday when we met with our team and we talked about how we had to play that game, offense, defense, and special teams. It was outside of that one play, our guys executed what we wanted to do as a team. And that was what really excited me, because we took what we talked about on Wednesday, we practiced the right way, and then we went out and executed it. We knew that was the type of game it was going to be. It was going to come down to those last drives of the game. It was going to be a tight game. And our guys did a great job as far as executing that game plan. And I thought Sam did a great job of understanding, especially at the end of the game where there was about 8 minutes left, of huddling, using the clock, finding a way to get first downs, just making sure all those little details are right. I know he wished he could have the one where, the snap was a little low and he was kind of starting drifting back and he dropped it. I know that play he wishes he had back, but, sometimes those little type of things happen. We just can't have it happen in that situation.
Brian from the Post, your line is active.
Adam, after the game yesterday, a few of your players, Jamal and Sam among them, said they feel like this team is close, like they're getting close. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you guys are close to being a good team?
I really will probably have time to really look at kind of big picture type things when the season's over. But for right now, I personally just need to focus on this game coming up here in Buffalo. This is a team that we lost to by 1 point in the first game of the year. Obviously, they're headed in the playoffs, and we're not. And we need to just do a good job of finding a way to win a division game.
The last question, Andy from The Record, your line is active.
Hey, Adam, just going back to Sam. From my standpoint, there were a couple throws. One late in the first quarter where he was obviously nearly intercepted, and another one late in the third quarter where he seemed to throw it into coverage that looked risky. Just what did you see on those throws? And you said you were basically okay with the way he managed the game, so why were you okay with them?
Well, the one that was almost interception, that one was on me. The corner did a good job. They cut a route. Minka left the middle of the field. He took Robbie, the corner, dove back and got in the throwing lane. We were trying to really take advantage of Minka doing that. And Joe Hayden did a great job as far as replacing him. and that's really what caused that. So at the end of the day, Sam was doing what I asked him. I'm not really sure which one you're talking about in the third quarter, but when you look at it as an overall, the way that he operated in this game, that's a really good defense we were playing. And, when he's got to make decisions under the amount of pressure that he was under a lot of times where he's moving around and trying to get throws off, sometimes you got to make split-second decisions, but I thought the majority of them were really good.